Welcome back to the Substitutes, and we're doing an FA Cup reaction today. It's a great tragedy that Liverpool have won the FA Cup. We've got one very happy fan. We've got one neutral, sad. I don't know how to say it. I'm very sad. Liverpool won the FA Cup, beating Chelsea. It was 0-0. Went to extra time, then went to penalties. My heart was broken again. It was a Carling Cup on repeat. But you know what? Congratulations to Liverpool. Logically, we'd start off with the Liverpool fan. I don't know if I can do that right now. So, Majid, give me your thoughts on the final. What did you think? Were Liverpool deserved victors?
Copy paste. Deserved, I don't know. It was a very interesting game. It was a lot of fun. The first half, Liverpool dominated. The early thing, they felt they should have scored. Chelsea were really good coming out of the second half. And then by 90th minute, I mean, it becomes that like coin toss sort of starts up. It was a good game. I think whenever a team wins on penalties, either team deserved to win, if I'm answering the question directly. But Liverpool, well done. The one I feel most sad for, the guy it hurts, is actually Mendy, the Chelsea keeper, because over two finals, the guy has done nothing wrong, and he's been on the losing end. Girl, enjoy. Congratulations. Take it away.
Oh, I am enjoying this so much. So much. Because December, Christmas time, we were 14 points behind with no shot at winning anything this season. And right now, we're 1 point behind with a game in hand for the title race. Well, no. We're 4 points behind with a game in hand for the title race. Steven Gerrard takes Villa to City for the final game of the season. There's a narrative there. We've already won the League Cup. We've already won the FA Cup. And we're in the final of the Champions League. No team in the history of the game has gone this long in contention and played this many games in a season. We are breaking records every day. Jordan Henderson has now lifted every trophy he can as a captain of a Premier League side. Same Jordan Henderson that everyone said was overrated and bullshit. And your Sir Alex Ferguson said that he couldn't run and would be injured for the majority of his fucking career. Great call. On the other hand, Jurgen Klopp has now reached 3 Champions League finals in 5 years, has contended for a title in 3 out of 4 years. At the same time, has won 1 title, has won every trophy he can as Liverpool manager, except the Europa League, because once we got over that, we just got over that. We don't go back. We don't digress. We don't regress. We move forward. So, Liverpool as a club right now, yes, they went to penalties for the second time with Chelsea, 50-50 when it goes to penalties. But I honestly, I saw this great Twitter thread about what was happening when the whistle blew for extra time. And the difference in attitude, preparation, and team talk between Klopp and Thomas Tuchel was night and day. And you can say it was 50-50, but Liverpool have shown when it is a 50-50 moment, it's not actually a 50-50 moment for them. It's like 55-45. It's 60-40. Because of the way they think, because of the way they prepare, they edge these close moments. We saw it in the League Cup final. We saw it again in the FA Cup final. And credit to Chelsea, because Chelsea, over the course of the entire season, I think have played better football against Liverpool than any other side, minus City. And they were really unlucky. But we're still on for the quad. And I can now say it.
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting to see this because, like you said, City, you were 14 points behind City with maybe 1 or 2 games in hand. I can't remember how many. And Luis Diaz coming in has really transformed your season. And it seems that you've got a lot of squad depth as well. There's a few takeaways from this final. I mean, first off, I think we should just mention that Chelsea, they had a really, really good run. They were a little bit lucky, MJ, like you said, with Mendy. Like he couldn't stop them losing. This is their third final in a row. And he didn't really do anything wrong. But I mean, the way that Chelsea gave a really good go of it. I mean, even if you look at the stats, Liverpool had more shots, both the same amount on target, but Chelsea had a lot of good chances too. Good saves by Alisson. He really kept them in the final. I just wanted to get your thoughts, MJ, on the quadruple, because now it is a very real possibility, and there is this narrative that Gaurav mentioned with Stevie G with Aston Villa, that the City play them next week, and it's interesting that it falls on his shoulders because the last time he was really involved in the title race, I mean, you know what he's like in some of the big moments when it comes to the Premier League. Like, so it's almost as if it's fate as well. So tell me what your thoughts are on the quadruple.
Well, what I'll say is with both cups against Chelsea, none of them are legitimate or credible until you've either won the title or the Champions League to go with them. Yani, they're achievements for a club like Manchester United, but for a club like Liverpool, seriously, given the fact that I'm serious, given the fact that they're competing, they're making the Champions League finals 3 times in 5 years and all of that, whatever. Um, you know, uh, I don't know. If they
United
win,
did the same,
they have to win one of them to make to make the previous two legitimate. If they do, they will go down regardless as one of the great teams. I do believe that they are a great team. They're fantastic. They have that velociraptor mentality where they just, like a herd, they move together, and like 1,000 cuts instead of just one Real Madrid style, one big knockout punch. They're much more, we'll go 12 rounds. We don't mind. Like, we have the technique, we have the capability. They'll be, if they win the quad, they'll be one of the greatest teams ever. That's like, you can't deny that. If they don't win either one, though, is where it gets interesting. If they don't win the league title or the Champions League, that's where it becomes really like, where do they stand in the place of history kind of thing.
Yeah,
Because for me, I say it again, if you don't win one of the big two, it's not like you're not in the GOAT series. You're in the like 2016 Golden Warriors, like you could have done it.
Do you think that's kind of harsh though, because of their achievements over the past few years? I understand what you're saying, right? I mean, like, they're almost great right now, like this season. But you take the previous few seasons, 2 Champions League finals, they've won one of them. 2 incredible Premier League race. Well, I'd say 1 incredible Premier League race where they just lost out. 1 where they did win it comprehensively, I might add. And coming back this season, yeah, by Feb, like it was kind of incredible. So I get what you mean when you say that it's like you have to. Look, they've got 2 out of 4. That's incredible in itself, but I do understand what you mean. Like, you have to win either a Premier League or a Champions League to really define that. Like, you don't want to be Manchester United, like exactly like you said. Manchester United under Jose Mourinho will win a few cups, right? No, like, you want to be more. And I personally look at this Liverpool side, if I can speak as objectively as I can, I think they are one of the great, or if not the greatest side of this generation. That's how I look at this team, the way that they play football, the way that they've gone. But I mean, you have to take that final step. That sets you on the path to immortality.
I think I don't disagree with Magic's point. I agree on, I think, 90% of it, right? Because I can see how, as a neutral or as a journalist or just as a football fan, in order to legitimize your achievements, they have to be capped by the big ones, right? And that's your Premier League and your Champions League. For example, the year that we won the Champions League, we didn't win anything else that very year. But that year was deemed a success because we won the Champions League, even though we lost the title by a point. So I understand exactly what Majid's saying, because when 10 years down the line or 20 years down the line, when we look back at this side, well, if they don't win the title or the Champions League, we'll say like, oh yeah, they did the cup double, but they were up against a really good City side or whatever, so they never quite they never quite got there. And that'll be the narrative. I think for the neutrals and for football fans in general, where I disagree slightly is how Liverpool fans will see this team. I already see this team as the best Premier League side Liverpool have had ever, like since the late 80s. So for me, this is the best Liverpool side ever. They can cap it with a Premier League or a Champions League this season. But I think when you look at the fact that it's not that they didn't win the title or that they didn't win the Champions League. Every year, they've been just there or just thereabouts. Like the fact that we're a point behind and we're losing the title, or we're making it to the finals and we're losing a title, in the history books, you might not see that. But as a fan, you will always remember how far this side went, even if it didn't achieve the Champions League or the Premier League this season. I would still look at the season as a fan as a huge success, because we ran City to the end, we made it to the final of the Champions League, and we didn't leave the season empty-handed. If we just won the League Cup, I'd be pretty disappointed. But the fact that we won the League Cup and the FA Cup and we eliminated City in the semifinals at Wembley to make it to the finals, like it's a successful season for me because we've taken it so far. But I get exactly what Majid's saying. History-wise, you need that check mark of a big title.
Before we move on to Chelsea, because I think we do need to speak about them, it's just a very interesting point that you just raised about where you look at City, or look at Liverpool rather, in the history books. You view them as one of the greatest sides, or the greatest Premier League side, or the league team that they've ever had. But MJ, the way I look at it, and correct me if I'm wrong, as a United fan, when we look at that 08 side, we always look at them as probably a team that's better than 1999. But we never called them the great side because they came up against Barcelona in 09. Do you think that's a fair comparison, that if Liverpool don't win either a league or a Champions League, they'll be regarded as a great side, but they'll never be regarded as the greatest side of their generation, like Barcelona were?
Yes, that everything you said is just, the answer is yes. An interesting case study for Gaurav is actually what Gaurav is saying. I actually 100% agree with his 10%. That if you look at Buffalo, the Bills, they reached the Super Bowl final, the finals, the Super Bowl 4 times in a row, 4 years in a row, and they lost each one of those. But when you go to Buffalo, I've been there, and people, they don't regret the losses. They're thankful for the memories. They're not looking at they're looking at, like a punchy startup town, like the underdog managed to take on Dallas and New York. Like we took on the City folks. Sure, we lost, but we gave it ourselves, and we gave 4 years. Like, F you guys, what have you done? And that's the Liverpool mentality, what Gaurav is saying, and it's a great thing. It's a good thing. You, as a fan, should definitely respect your history first before anyone else. No one else is going to, period. The one thing I do want to add in all of this before we go to Chelsea is, having said all of these stats about, Liverpool 3 out of 5 years, 2 titles, 1 cup, blah, blah. This actually highlights for me Zidane's Madrid and onwards. The fact that they're still in the final today and have won the league today under Carlo Ancelotti, having won it 3-4 times in a row with Zidane, that just highlights Madrid's excellence, quiet excellence in the recent time period. Because it's not, it's not your mom's Galacticos anymore in Madrid. That's all I want to say.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. I mean, the 3 league titles, 3 Champions League finals in 5 years, the league titles. That's a Man United side from 08 to 2011. Reached 3 finals. They just never quite made it, And Fergie did that with a very aging United side towards the end. But I do feel that this Liverpool side kind of deserve a bit more just for the way that they kind of play. But we'll see. Like that's where they'll end up in the history books. We'll find out in the next couple of weeks. Now I want to take it to Chelsea now, who've had a very, very difficult season when it comes to club ownership. And their season kind of fell apart in between. Like they were at one point considered contenders for the Premier League crown. Now they're firmly in third, but they've reached 2 finals, one in the Carling Cup or League Cup and one in the FA Cup, and they've lost both. Do you think that this season can be defined as a success for them, considering all the troubles that they've had off the field? I'll pass it over to Gaurav first.
Yeah, 100%. It's a success. I don't see how you can't see it as a success. The club was about to go into administration. They were still winning games. They're not allowed to sell merchandise, and they're still winning games and competing for trophies. I don't know how any Chelsea fan or any neutral can look at Chelsea, point a finger, and said they've had a shit season. From the beginning, I never thought personally, and that's my own opinion, that they were a title contender. I honestly thought it was always going to be Liverpool and City, and that's because from the first month of the league onwards, Chelsea have struggled to score goals. The best thing about that team is how they defend in midfield and in the back. And honestly, I don't think they had any hope of the title because they didn't have a genuine goal scorer. And Lukaku never fit into that team. But overall, this season's a massive success for Chelsea. I think what's worrying is some of what they do next year. They need a goal scorer. They can't get rid of Werner or Lukaku for a decent enough fee. So what do they do there? How do they fill that gap? Because without Havertz, they don't have a goal threat. So the summer is going to be super important for Chelsea, especially with Rudiger leaving. But I honestly feel like they've had a great season. They should be very proud.
MJ, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Gaurav. I think it was a very good season for them. You can't, with all the ownership stuff and no fans and no merchandise and just general, then let's talk about mental health within the organization because of these things, because of the question marks and like the lack of communication. It definitely was. They'll be disappointed. Hard luck. You'll always be disappointed when you've gone against a team like Liverpool. 2 finals, penalties. You're always going to be. It hurts a little bit, but they're just. This is what Gaurav. Good point. Like they're one striker away. I genuinely wonder in that final if they had a genuine, even a Harry Kane. Well, like I say, even a Harry Kane, but just somebody, a Mo Salah, any type. I'm saying a tall Cavani, like any type of goal-scoring threat, and they would be scary.
Do you know what, Magic? Like watching the game and hearing after the game that Van Dijk tweaked his knee in the first 20 minutes and he wasn't full sprinting for the rest of the game. That's why he came off before extra time. So in the first 20 minutes, he's not at full tilt. Lukaku is so predictable. He's going to receive the ball. He's going to try to turn and shoot and bully you out of his way to create space. If he can't do that, he's going to try to lay it off or pass it to the wing. It's so one-dimensional that even on form, he's not difficult to deal with. Like, he's not, right? So and then when Matip came on, it was easy. So I agree with Majid totally. They need someone to do something a bit different, like add a little spark, be a bit creative. All of their attacking signings have been shit except Havertz, and that's it.
Do you think that Lukaku needs a little bit of time? Because even Havertz didn't have a good start last year.
Personally, no. Lukaku's been a professional in the Premier League for multiple seasons, more than half a decade. He should know how to play in the Premier League. They paid 100 million because they thought they were guaranteed goals. He does not deserve any time at all.
Harsh words, but I can understand where you're coming from. MJ, what do you think?
No, I agree with him. Khalas, we've kind of seen it. It's like there are just some players there are some players that are good at clubs and they're kind of shit at other clubs for some reason. It just sort of happens, and Lukaku at Chelsea 2.0 has not. There was, I think, a brief 3-week, 1 month spell of like, oh, this could be dangerous, and then we reverted back to the mean. And Lukaku's also one of those kind of players who he's very moody. He's very instinctual. Let's put it diplomatically. Meaning, like Balotelli, if he feels it, you'll get 1 month of fantastic productivity. But if he doesn't feel it, it's 3 months of the incredible sulk.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like, it's just, I don't know, like, yeah. And then
Like,
he's constantly flirting with Milan or Inter or whoever. Like, he's constantly talking but like.
Yeah, I honestly, like, I agree with Majid here because, like, Lukaku's behavior almost offsets any benefit he can bring onto the pitch, and he's brought no benefit onto the pitch. So, like, he has the attitude and, like, the mentality. He thinks of himself in his own perspective, like he's a Ronaldo, Messi, Lewandowski level. Bro, you're shit. Like, you're not that good. You're good, you're not great. Like, as Shaq would say, you're good, you're not pretty good, you're not great. So, like, start working with the team because he's not good enough to build a team around. He's not.
It's the same with Werner, by the way. Werner's been a shocking disappointment since he's walked into Stamford Bridge. And also, I would like to add Christian Pulisic. If it wasn't for the injuries, I think that was a big missing piece for Chelsea. And I'm looking for him particularly to do the Shaq. You're good. You're pretty good, actually, maybe. You've shown flashes of pretty goodness. But I now need you to get great, man. You can't miss open goals and stuff. And I get it. Again, injuries this season, the topsy-turvy schedule, I get it. But Christian Pulisic next year, more than even Timo Werner and Lukaku, I need Pulisic to now either be the franchise or not be the franchise.
Yeah, like one of these young players that they've signed for a shit ton of money has to step up and become the next Lampard or the next Terry and like really take this team under their wing and like carry them a little bit. They need that spark. And I agree exactly what Majid is saying. Werner been immensely disappointing since he came in. But I'll tell you one thing about Timo Werner. Costs half as much as Lukaku, has better movement, creates space, passes the ball, works hard, and doesn't have an attitude problem. So for me, Werner's a much better signing than Lukaku could ever dream to be at this stage. But we're literally picking between ants and cockroaches at this stage. Like that's how bad it is for Chelsea up front.
So Werner, the goal scorer, does everything except for score goals.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Omar.
He played well, but look, I mean, look, Werner hasn't had a bad season by his standards, right? But I do feel that you guys are right. Like Chelsea are missing like a very established goal scorer, but there are elements of a really really good side in there. Kovacic put in a very good shift. Besides being injured, Mason Mount I think was, I mean, he's had an excellent season. Mount. I don't think anybody can fault him for anything, and it's quite unfortunate that he missed the final penalty for them.
Yeah.
And Majid, like you said, Mendy, I think he's been wonderful. He's been wonderful for Chelsea this season. It's just a shame that he's been a part of a losing side for quite some time now. But I think it was a wonderful final. It's a very absorbing final for a 0-0. You have to give credit to both sides for that. And Majid, like you said, like when it goes to penalties, whoever wins most likely deserves it. But I think it's actually quite fitting in this case because I think both sides played a really good game. I think Liverpool, in my opinion, were more likely deserving of the win, just because of how they played, more shots. I personally felt they were more on top, but credit to Chelsea as well for at least not folding like certain clubs. Gaurav knows which ones, like multiplied by 9. So it's a well-deserved victory for Liverpool on the path to a quadruple. Good luck to them. I hope they don't get it, but if they do, they will definitely be worthy of it. Any other final thoughts, Garb? I want to pass it on to you as a Liverpool fan who's looking at history like this. Do you have anything to say? Anything to add about the final? Liverpool season in general?
Yeah, I actually wanted to say this after the League Cup final as well. But the same thing happened, and it was the same two teams. So it happened again. But there were some really nice scenes at the final whistle. As Tsimikas hit the winning penalty, and the Liverpool staff and the players ran away after him to celebrate and catch him, Mane actually stopped, and he went up to Edouard Mendy, and he gave him a hug, and he spoke to him. And then after that, when the Chelsea players were coming down, this is in the League Cup final and in the FA Cup final, when they were coming down from collecting their silver medals, Jordan Henderson was waiting at the bottom of the staircase, shaking everyone's hand and wishing them well. And I think that's the kind of shit that like makes me really love like this Liverpool team, is that they're good guys, they're good people. Mohamed Salah, I don't know if you guys know Abdul Momin, the footballer from Africa who got ALS. Most of the goals that Salah scores, when he does this celebration and he sticks his tongue out, he's doing that for a moment. And after the game ended and the Liverpool players were celebrating in the dressing room, they actually brought him in with his wheelchair and everything, and they celebrated the win with Momin. So I love that about this team. They're good guys. They do it the right way, and I love the sportsmanship. No one deserves a quad, but if any team has been worthy of that sort of reward, I genuinely feel like it's this Liverpool team. But yeah, those are my final thoughts. Shout out to like Mo Salah and like for being such an awesome human being and ambassador for the club. It's awesome to see.
And well done to Liverpool. Worthy win in the FA Cup, and good luck to them on their quest for the double this season. We've been the Substitutes. It's been good to see you guys, and we'll see you guys next time.